Hey everyone, and welcome to Signals from the Frontline, your every Wednesday live broadcast brought to you by Frontline Gaming. We are your hosts, Kicker, the Chief of Serial, and Sigilite of the FLG. Nicky Dee, the mysterious producer that was here, but now he's gone, but now he's back, and Flannel Fan. And I'm Seth, the Mad Dok, your competitive correspondent. How has everyone been doing tonight?
I am doing swell. I'm a bit cold, hence my, Frontline Gaming staff hoodie that I got here.
I mean, I also live in the South, Kicker. You actually live further south in the United States than I do, and I have my polo on.
Yeah, but I live in a very, very, very old house that has zero insulation, so I'm just trying to stay warm here, guys. If you're listening to our podcast, you should consider watching us live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can see me in a hoodie and Seth looking very professional in our traditional Frontline Gaming broadcasting shirt. But guys, yes. We love you. We're glad to have a chat here. We want to talk about a lot of things. But first, as you know, it's some hobby progress. This is how we, keep ourselves accountable. Look at that. That is that blob. I told you, Seth, I wanted to make another blob at 20 Deathcore Krieg, and that was my New Year resolution, and I'm sticking to it. It is a slog. I am painting literally one layer at a time, one layer each day. Yeah. So like today I was doing the black gun casing. Tomorrow I'll probably do the backpacks. It is taking time, but I can't wait because then they'll be done, and I'll have a massive blob of infantry to just get massacred by your orcs. But yeah. So, Seth, what have you been up to? Have you been getting any hobby progress done?
I have been.
You got work to do.
I've got work to do, but I've been trying to get my Necrons ready because I'm trying to commit to taking Necrons to Cherokee. Yeah. Unfortunately, everyone knows I painted the Shelby Crons a while ago, and then I bought the army back. The army that I bought is not the army that 10th edition wanted to play, so I have a lot of stuff to build and paint in the meantime. I think I have like 30 Immortals to paint. Yeah, I have a lot to paint. I don't want to think about it. I'm not going to mention it all because it's going to.
But are you actually trying to do like a top tier paint job, or are you just trying to get them ready for Cherokee?
I'm trying to get them. So the it's like I call it like a tabletop plus scheme. Yeah. But I also want to go back on a lot of the models that I had previously painted and add some basing to them because the basing was really basic. So I kind of want to punch that up a little bit. Yeah. I don't think it'll be like a showcase army or anything like that, but I'll be happy with it, and it'll definitely get some people kind of excited by it because it'll be some very vibrant colors. Anyway, I've also been doing the Call of Duty Modern Warfare zombie grind, been having fun with that. Nice. And then kind of got back full gear into lifting, and I am tired and sore, Kicker.
Yes. I might have. You do the lifting for the two of us. I'll do the cardio. You do the lifting. It's gotcha. A good team thing.
All right. But speaking of hobby progress and Necrons, Nicky Dee, what have you been up to?
Yeah, you can see it on the back of the screen here. I've been working on my monolith. I actually picked one up as a Christmas present for myself when the Codex was released, and I hadn't touched it. I actually realized a few weeks ago that I haven't fully built and painted a model since, I think, Nova. So I've been in a big time hobby funk. So I'm keeping myself accountable. This is day 3 of my hobby streak where I'm spending at least 30 minutes a day working, building, painting, basing something. With it, I've also restarted Stargate SG-1. It's like a 25-year-old series, but I loved watching it with my dad when I was growing up in middle school. Yep. So at Stargate SG-1, building a monolith, and I'm in the same boat as you. I've got a ton of Necrons, but it's Necrons that were good in 8th edition. That are battle ready, not necessarily Necrons that are good right now. And folks, Necrons are very good right now, so that may be me just nitpicking. But we'll see how that ends up playing out, and if I'm also bringing them to Cherokee.
For the record, are we going to have both Signals players at Cherokee?
We said it would be entertaining if we both took the same army with the same list to see who did better, but I don't know that we're going to be able to make that happen in time.
Right. I'm also literally earlier this week, I think it was last week before the Dataslate came out, I told both of you guys I was committed to playing Blood Angels. So
no, you said Necrons, then the Dataslate, then you said Blood Angels, then TJ Lanigan got in your ear, and then you said Demons.
Oh yeah, Demons are very tempting, and we'll get into that later in the show. But I've got a lot of interest points, and 3 tournaments coming up in the next 4 weekends, so I may just play something different at each tournament to find out what I like for the next 3 months. I think that's what I might do.
All right, I like that plan.
We're going to jump into some news, guys, real fast, starting off with the Age of Sigmar Meta Watch review. This was post-LVO, so it had a lot of good data in there. Seth, do you want to give us the big highlights from the Age of Sigmar? What's happening? I know this is 40K, focused primarily, but Age of Sigmar is becoming a real player at our events. I mean, at LVO, they had 416 tickets sold to play, for Age of Sigmar.
And I do believe that is the largest AOS event for us, and I'm fairly certain the world.
That is by far the largest. Nobody has come close to that yet. So that's a serious number here.
Yeah, so that was really good showing. They did their Meta Watch article. They discussed that the Battle Scroll, which is their data slate, should be coming out in February. They're using the data they got from LVO because that was so large. There was 9 different factions that made the top 10 in LVO. And with only one of them being twice, which was Cities of Sigmar, which I believe was the most recent faction. So they probably have a little bit of toning down there. And they had some lower performing factions. The Cruel Boys and Stormcasts did see an increased win rate and did make an appearance in the top 10. So it sounds like it's a pretty healthy meta, but they're still keeping an eye on it and doing some adjusting, which is always important to see.
Yeah. And Seth, you touched base on it that they waited till after LVO before they did this review. The I don't know if I'm allowed to like really go into the details, but GW had boots on the ground there. They had the Age of Sigmar creator, writer, lead on that whole game system there at the LVO.
Please tell me that he was wearing like a full hooded cloak and robe, with a slate, which is
exactly scribbling. Yeah, that was exactly
completely out of character for the AOS room. But everyone's like, "What the hell is that guy doing?"
Yeah, right. What is he doing? No, I he approached me because I didn't know him at all, and he introduced himself to me, and I'm like, "Dude, go do your thing, get all the data, and let's make this game continue to be popular and popular." Yeah. Guys, the other thing that got me kind of excited recently was the GW event exclusive miniature was finally announced for the 2024 year. It does not, LVO, they always kind of announce it right in the beginning of the year, but LVO happens right at the very start of the year, so we didn't have.
LVO is like the end of the tournament year, so this is the new tournament year.
So this is a new tournament year. These are at GW events that they are very involved with, and what do you know? It's a beautiful Kroot mini. Yes, can we show that? There we go. Look at that. If you're watching right now, there's that sick Kroot mini kind of just charging.
Now here's the real question kicker. Yeah. We know that GW will have this at their event store at all the events, and they will be back at LVO next year. So this model will be at the store next year. Are you going to wait until next year?
Oh no,
to buy this kicker?
I know you guys like. There's a lot of people, and I absolutely love it. There's a lot of people that bring me cereal at events. You want to be my really. You want to be my real bestie? Just surprise me with this Kroot mini.
Go to a GW event, grab that Kroot model, and bring it to kicker.
GW event. I might be heading over to one of their events. Just
he was bemoaning pre-show folks that this was released after LVO, so it wasn't at the GW booth at LVO.
I wasn't there. I might try to sneak away to Tacoma this year and as a player and pick it up. But
just gonna fly to Tacoma to buy a single
just to buy the miniature and fly back.
Walk in, buy the miniature. You're like, I drop, walk back out of the event.
Mission accomplished.
Someone's like, you didn't have to even buy a ticket to come buy the model. You're like, no, I'm good.
No, just needed that miniature. So yeah, I do, as we've been joking, I really am excited for the Kroot release, and this miniature in particular looks amazing. But there's also some Age of Sigmar love. We're getting the model called the Steel Rook. It's an alternative model for the Cities of Sigmar Arch Knight. Now GW gave me one of the standard Arch Knights a while back, as a gift, and I got a really, it's very generous of them, and I really like that miniature. The miniature's, kind of like, I guess, a bodyguard equivalent kind of dude. Really cool knight. The current, I guess, standard miniature has a few different animal themed options. There's a bear theme, so the guys got like a bear helmet and I think like a big axe or hammer or something. And then there's a fish themed, fish kind of war gear based. This guy, he's got like this cool raven crow vibe, and so I really like that. I really like the idea of having this one model but several different like very distinct looks to it. So I would like more of that. I don't know. I mean, I could see more HQ characters having strong themes like. We're gonna phone in Nicky Dee. Nicky Dee, do you want to give us our pre-orders? What's going on right now for pre-order this week?
Yes, so pre-orders for this week, it's all Age of Sigmar, and it is going to be a couple of things, but the main item is the Dawnbringer Book 4. This is somewhat similar to the Arcs of Omen books that we had in 40K. This one's called The Mad King Rises, and it's going to be focusing on the big guy that you see there, and coinciding with the Flesh Eater Courts. They are getting their new codex and a whole bunch of new models.
Yeah, a lot of models. Seth, have you seen these models? Photos? I'm sure you've seen photos of these models. Does any one of them like stand out to you? Is there one that you're like, oh, that's the one to get? Or
I just like the judge with the intestine hat.
I knew you were gonna say it. I was just waiting for it. Yeah, I think it's called the. Oh my gosh, what is he called?
I don't care. He's judge with intestine hat. I can go look up the real name.
Grand Justice Gormain is his or her
Grand
name.
Justice Intestine Hat is what he is. Okay, just don't ruin my narrative.
And so we have this cool Age of Sigmar stuff, and then for the short people such as myself, we have the Ironhead Squat Prospector from Necromunda. This is just a really cool dwarf dude with a big gun. Like what else? Yeah. What else do you need? You know. So I like that they're kind of
besides dwarves with big guns.
Kicker. Yeah, and I'm serious. Those Necromunda dwarves. I wish they really had an opportunity to fit into the Votann. For, the 40K world.
Conversion
fodder. There we go. And then Seth, just for you, man, just for you, we're getting this really cool Orc Choppa bottle opener. GW continues to release or partner with different companies to release merchandise, licensed merchandise, and this particular bottle opener has your name all over it, man.
Yeah, the problem is I don't really drink anything that comes in bottles with caps on it, but I appreciate the thought, GW.
You appreciate the thought. All right.
You just need to make some orc beverages for me now.
That is actually kind of funny, though, right? Like I think about it, like I don't really drink bottled, or anything with a bottle cap either. Actually, I mean it's rare, but it's a cool thing to have on your desk.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely a cool.
Maybe you can use it as a really nice, like I don't know if you do cheese and cracker night with your wife, Seth, but like that'd be a fun way to cut the cheese. Just take a little axe and all right, no, okay.
I don't know if that's going to be sharp enough.
Okay, well, I mean, we have the technology.
Come on, that was a great joke, Kicker.
Oh, okay, there we go. I saw it. There we go. Dang, well done. All right, guys, let's stop and do some event news. Cherokee, you've been waiting, and we finally delivered the 40K and Age of Sigmar packets. The player packets are out. They're in the wild. A lot of people that aren't even going to Cherokee have adopted these packets for their own local RTTs. Basically, there's not been too many changes, but I do want Seth to kind of give us the summary of the 40K changes. As you are competitive players, Seth, you're going to this event. Give us the changes that people should be aware of.
So the main things is there has been a change based on community feedback on how the player place terrain system is going to work. For previous reference, the way it works, you roll off for defender. Defender places the first piece of terrain on their table half out of their pool of terrain, and then the attacker gets to place 2. Now it's back to the defender places 1, the attacker places 1, but no one can place any terrain within 4 inches of the center. So that provides kind of a 4-inch bubble at the center of the field. And do remember that a lot of missions have a center field objective. So that makes that area a little bit more of a contested space. It's not so easy to provide that staging point. You'll have to kind of skew your terrain to one side or the other if you want to have a midfield point. So I like that change. That's been a change that a few groups have experimented with, and we were happy to adopt based on the feedback. Also, our Karast Outpost, which is modeled after the GW set, we did add a caveat that the green Blastoids are considered fully closed, just to make sure that we are kind of in keeping with the theme of that terrain. So excited to get a chance to play with these things. I actually am going to be messing around with it myself on TTS this weekend. So I'll be excited to see how it goes.
Sweet. A few announcements about, Cherokee. Thursday night, you can show up and you can, we'll do meet and greet. There'll be open play. I mean, I'll be playing a game against somebody. Seth, you might be getting a game in. I know. Our lovely friend Joe will be probably getting a game in too. So Thursday night, kind of meet and greet. You can get your hands on the train. You get a few practice, deployments if you want. So feel free to come in Thursday night and test out the terrain. Also, guys, this is another change that we should probably say for the Age of Sigmar crowd. Age of Sigmar is going from a 2-day to a 3-day event. So it is it's a big boy event now. It justifies 3 days so we can get a single undefeated winner. So Age of Sigmar is going to 3 days. Now, something I'm really excited about is can we get the photo? This is really cool. We have the brand new combat juice. Cherokee Open combat juice. This is a special cocktail with local moonshine just for our event. We did a combat juice at the LVO, and it was kind of an LVO themed one. It was a lime green one. Cherokee's going with the purple Cherokee color here, and this one's using, like I said, local moonshine. The cool thing is, not only does this drink taste amazing, at least that's what people tell me. I haven't tried it yet because I haven't. The bar.
Kicker, I need you to drive up and test this drink for us next week.
There is the term, and correct me if I'm wrong, the mixologist. I don't know, the on-site mixologist. I'm not has been working on a crazy concoction for us, and this is what they came up with. The photo there kind of does it justice. This is attractive purple drink.
But immediately, anyway, Dean and Chad, who has purple Tyranids, is like, "Oh, I need kegs of that."
I need kegs of that, right? So this will be available at our bar as well as all most of the bars on the property. But here's a really like the sweet cool thing is I wanted them to do something also to help the local community. So not just sell this drink, but like how can we help? And so anyway, a portion of all sales of this particular combat juice at the event will be going to help the local Cherokees on native land. It's going to be going to the native population to help them get gifts for the children there. So anyway, it's kind of like a feel goody thing. So yeah. I'm trying to roll out combat juice drinks for every one of our events and make sure that a portion of the sales of those drinks goes towards a local charity of some sort.
Oh, kicker. Yeah. I have a horrible / amazing idea.
All right, just tell me. I love
Do you remember the official LVO bar crawl?
Yes, that's still a thing, but we just don't promote it as much because we don't want to get in trouble.
What if the official bar crawl featured all of the combat juices from across the year?
Oh, like a flight of combat juice. Oh yes, I love it.
And then you have to rank. You have people vote on what's the best combat juice of the year. Then that means all the venues have to start competing against each other to see who makes the best combat juice.
We'd have to get it like sent to. So this one uses locally produced moonshine, which means like I don't know if we're gonna be able to get the exact same ingredients in Vegas.
No, but I mean I think we should have some combat juice competition between the events.
Let's do it. At least at the bare minimum, we need to have people that go to a lot of our events kind of rank
the combat juices.
Yeah.
Now, Kicker, I've got a question for you about combat juice. Champions Cup as an FLG event. That's it, right? That's a team event. Yes. Does that mean the combat juice is going to be like a Gator Bowl, like a team event for the drinking?
Yes. I mean, why not? Or it could be like a bucket of beers or like a flight.
Somewhere in the background, Sean Naden is screaming.
I will tell you, and I don't want to go into Champions Cup too much just yet, but it looks like we do have a tequila sponsor already signed up. So,
oh man, at least I know from like Team USA stuff, Sean doesn't really like his team drinking during the event. Oh, this is too good.
That's probably good advice for a team that's
trying. Yeah, I mean they're like Team America's trying to win, so they're like you don't drink during the event.
So I don't want to talk about Champions Cup too much right now, but let's talk about Rocky Mountain Open, guys. We just ordered the challenge coins. No one else has seen these but myself, and now you, our friends that follow Signals from the Frontline. Let's get that photo up there. Look at this attractive challenge coin right here. This is a sexy challenge coin. This features our mountain dwarven character. I don't know what we would call him. He's not Votan. He's more of a dwarf dude. He's got like more of a dwarf vibe going to him than a fantasy dwarf vibe. So
I like the vibe.
You like the vibe. So yes, all game systems, but maybe not Shatterpoint, but all other game systems should be getting challenge coins. But you have to participate, guys. You can't just play half a round. You have to play generally the first day of the tournament because some people show up and drop round one. We're kind of tired of that. You got to actually participate.
Yeah, you gotta compete.
You got to compete. All right, Nicky Dee phoning you in for nerd news. Give us some pop culture stuff, dude.
Yeah. So real quick. Our favorite Warhammer fan, Henry Cavill, has a new movie coming out this weekend, Argyle. It's supposed to be a kind of spy thriller sort of thing. I am going to see it on Saturday. Seth, Kicker, are you going to be seeing the latest Henry Cavill film?
I definitely watched the previews recently with my wife, and she was intrigued. And maybe I'll pitch that as a thing for us to do this weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I am not because I don't hate me, but we have like parades already starting here in New Orleans. I'm in New Orleans right now. Mardi Gras parades have started. So like I am in full blown parade mode every single day, every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the past 2 weeks now. And this will be the third week we've had parades, and that's what I will be doing. But I will see probably after Mardi Gras. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. There was also a new Henry Cavill trailer for it's the
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I was quite intrigued by that one.
Based on a true story of Britain versus Germany in World War II. The trailer, it's I actually had someone recommend the book to me as well, and I actually just finished my last book last night, so I need to pick up a new one. I think that I may be firing that up on my Kindle tonight to start as a new item. So Henry Cavill, he's got to get all these other projects out of the way so that he can get to the 40K stuff, right?
Yeah, he's got to make his seed money for that 40K project.
And I may or may not have information that's really good, but it looks like things are looking good for mainstream media covering 40K, and that's all I'm going to say. So, yay!
All I'm knowing is Kicker gets a cameo in the show.
Oh, how did you know, dude? Yes, how do you know? I'm going to play Grot. just running in the background, you know.
Kicker painted green in a loincloth running in the
I'm like,
background.
I'll do that for some spotlight, man. A little time in the camera. No, no, I am unfortunately not involved in any of the production. Apparently, there's something else coming out. Madam Web. I don't know who this is. Nicky Dee. I see it in her notes. What's going on? Who is this female character?
So this is part of the Sony Spider-Man and Marvel universe. So it comes out literally 2 weeks from now. There's like some trailers, but I honestly don't remember the last time that like a comic movie was not talked about or really promoted in any kind of way, shape, or form.
Is this a known character, Madam? I've never even heard of this character.
Yeah,
Madam Web is a known character in Marvel Comics. Yes, and there's
MCP. I haven't seen her in MCP
or the MCU. No, she's not in the MCU. No, this is a Sony. Universe.
Yeah, Sony owns a lot of the Spider-Man stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you guys.
Yes. Now with some of the universes and multiverse stuff, there's supposed to be crossover that's there from it. So that's one where I don't know. Like I'm gonna wait to see what early reviews are looking like and how that's going to be set. But even from my own standpoint, there's a different Spider-Man related movie, Kraven the Hunter, that'll be coming out later this year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That one looks awesome. So that one I'll definitely look to see. But like this one, it's coming, but I don't know if anybody really cares, including myself.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, guys, let's ask chat, guys. What existing property do we need a TV or movie from? In chat, tell us what you guys are thinking. Like, we know Fallout is finally getting a series. Halo, I know you guys may not have liked the first season, but I'm excited for season 2 just because I really liked Halo. Halo 2 is getting a second season. What other game or novel series or book or comic series needs a show? Come on, like, what is obviously Warhammer? That's something we all want, but like, what else is there? Even Lord of the Rings got a recent reboot.
We need our own sitcom.
We need our own sitcom. The Sigilite of Frontline. It's like Friends or something. Yeah, sure. Let's
I'm in for it.
I mean, Nicky Dee, is there anything on your dream wish list?
We have a vote for Mass Effect.
Oh, Mass Effect. That's okay. There we go.
That would be a good one. Yeah, actually, the book series that I read this past year, The First Law by Joe Abercrombie. Joe from War Games Live had actually recommended it on his stream at one point as a good like high fantasy series, and that's how I picked it up. It's 2 separate trilogies, and there's some other short stories that go into it. Really, to me, it was actually one of the best high fantasy, but like pre-industrial revolution sort of. The second trilogy gets into that pre-industrial revolution, but some of the best science fiction fantasy that I've ever read. I would love to see that in a live action. I think it would work especially well as a TV miniseries or long running series, something like that. That would be my choice.
You just said miniseries. I have this crazy deep dream, hope, prayer, maybe. You guys ever seen Band of Brothers? Of course you have, right? Everyone's seen Band of Brothers. Imagine Band of Brothers, but Gaunt's Ghost following their
Okay. All right. I could get behind that.
Fucking amazing, right? I mean, come on, right? Gaunt's Ghost, but Band of Brothers.
No, sorry. Jorge just pointing this out in chat.
Oh.
The Call of Duty Zombies storyline I got into it recently. It is a fever dream. I kid you not, Kicker. There are 6-hour synopsises of the storyline of those games on YouTube.
Wow.
And they are like, it has Shangri-La in it. You're going to the moon. There's multiple parallel universes. It is a fever dream of a video game.
All right, that's it, guys. That's it. Let's go right. Let's go find our producer. Let's make it happen. I love it. Seth, let's jump into our main segment, man. This is the important stuff for tonight.
Yes. So we have the balanced data slate, which really like it's kind of a misnomer because it's not just that document called the balanced data slate. It is also a rules commentary update and a Mutatorm and field manual points update. So they updated a lot of things with this one. It was a pretty
wait. And there's also that like other little thing regarding the Drukhari, that whole new thing.
Yeah. They basically almost redid that index in terms of like gave them new attachments and enhancements and new strategies. So it was a huge change. And so I kind of want to give a shout out, for folks that follow industry news. GW had been searching for someone that was in charge of balance and adjusting the games. That individual is now kind of out on the public stage. That's Josh Roberts. He was actually the individual in the MetaWatch video explaining these changes. So I kind of want to tip my hat to them because there are a lot of changes. Obviously, they looked at some of the higher performance armies and knocked those down a step, and they took a long look at a lot of armies and both try to do internal balance within the armies as well as buff up some of the lower tier armies. So let's get right into it. Eldar, kicker. It's been the boogeyman since the start of 10th edition. I can vividly remember fate dice, us thinking how ridiculous they are, having 12 fate dice. And if you have Eldar 15, I can remember Mikey G and I sitting there at ACO, jokingly rolling the ACO dice to see how many sixes we could get for our fate dice. They have now cut those to 6 starting fate dice, which is huge. They've also changed the Phantasm strat, which is the strat where you can reactively move from being a flat 6 inches, which is very reliable, to D6, so a little less reliable. They've changed a number of things, how Fate Messengers work, how Night Spinners work, how the Incarn works, and how the Wraith Guard work, all of which make them less efficient and easier for your opponent to interact and play around with. So overall, these are some pretty big changes to how that army functions. Now, Eldar were a deep codex before all this. They have lots of tools. Someone will put together the new Eldar list. It will be good. Will it be as good and oppressive as the previous one? I don't think so. But certainly some quality of life changes that make Eldar much more comfortable to play into.
Yeah, and I mean just the points too, right? That Night Spinner, took a beating going up.
It went up in points. Wraith Guard went up in points. Yeah, so they got a lot of adjustments, which was sorely needed. This is in the second or third time they've had to adjust that codex. And
Eldar weren't the only ones getting a little bit of. I don't like to use the word nerf. Everyone uses the word nerf, but a nice
adjustment. Knockdown a step.
What else did we get?
Chaos Space Marines had a really good showing at WCW and a really good showing at LVO. They also were definitely one of the more oppressive armies with some of their mechanics, particularly the list that ran a bunch of Accursed Cultists and Chosen with Lords and Forge Fiends and Obliterators. So we saw a lot of points increases for all of those units. They took advantage of having Nurgle marked rhinos with other marked units inside, and then you could use the Nurgle mark to make them untargetable. They've now changed it so you have to have the same mark as the transport as the guys inside, which deals with a lot of those issues, and as well as the stratagem that made them untargetable, Dark Obscuration, which was 12 inches away. You couldn't target them, sort of like Lone Operative. Now it's 18 inches. So you can interact with it more. The Profane Zeal strat, which was the strat that lets you do a bunch of rerolls and stuff, that allowed rerolls to hit, reroll to wound on any unit. Basically, it's locked to undivided, and it's only reroll wounds. And they decrease the OC and the healing on the Accursed Cultists. So it definitely took a lot of juice out of that codex. Once again, though, there are still plenty of good things in that codex. The really common offenders saw points increases. So very possible that the points increase is going to shift how that army plays. But again, there's still a lot of good things in there, and you're going to see a lot of good stuff in the codex. So expect to see a different Chaos Space Marine list going forward.
Seth, let's bring in Nick for the next one, because those are his babies, potentially his babies. I don't know. I know he's a fan. Nicky Dee, what's going on with the demons?
Yeah, so demons had one change with theirs, and it relates to the demonic pact rule. And I saw a lot of people have different takes on this when they were initially reading it. But the way that it works is that if you are a chaos faction or detachment taking demons as allies, for every non-battle line unit, you need to have a battle line unit. So if you're playing Chaos Knights and you want to take the Blue Scribes as an example, which is a pretty popular choice, you now need to take a battle line unit as well, which would be either Pink Horrors or Blue Horrors, something like that. So that part there, it's going to really only restrict Chaos armies that are allying in Chaos Demons. Demons otherwise had mostly points drops, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Nurglings did go up a little bit. So I liked this change. I think it was a good way to limit how common Chaos Demons are in non-Chaos Demon list.
Yeah. And like the big offenders were always like, I take some Nurglings and some Blue Scribes and the Changeling. The Blue Scribes and Changelings were characters. They were very difficult to target, and Nurglings were very handy units to have in the first place, and it prevented you from kind of mixing and matching. Now, if you want to do that, you need to make sure that you're taking some sort of Tzeentch battle line for those characters.
Seth, you want us to talk about Death Guard? And I know World Eaters got a little.
Yeah, I think they had it out for Chaos, man.
Yeah. Right.
So Death Guard had a rule on their biologist putrefier, which allowed them to use the grenade strat for free, which technically meant, Kicker, you could have one unit use the grenade strat for 1 CP, and then if you had 3 biologist putrefiers, you could have all 3 of them also throw grenades that turn, which was an obscene amount of mortal wounds coming
and that
out of
strat
that.
is just so good. I always forget how powerful it is.
So it reduced that so that only 1 biologist putrefier per turn can do that strat. So no more just like everyone and their brothers chucking grenades at you. 24 dice total on 4s doing mortal wounds. They got some buffs. We'll talk about them later, but from the bigger rules changes, but that was nice to see. World Eaters, which were also in the right hands, a very oppressive army, took a number of hits to their rules. Their Berserker Glaive, which they used to make a super juiced up character, got its attacks and damage reduced to just a flat 1 instead of D3. Favor of Corn, which is how they rerolled a bunch of dice to try to get Ankron back, is now once per battle instead of once per battle round. And then their Invuln that their Demon Prince hands out got reduced to a 5+ Invuln. So it was really good to see some of those changes coming in. Guard, your beloved Guard Kicker, they got a little buff. They got when officers, that was like, there's a keyword for officers get out of transports, they can now issue orders.
And when they show up on the battlefield from reserves or deep strike, which is huge, because now you can have Scion officers deep strike in and issue an order. Or the special sauce, guys, the special sauce is Gaunt's Ghost. They already were amazing, but now these guys can pop off the board, pop back on the board, issue themselves an order, issue somebody else next to an order. I don't know. They just make a great unit even that much better. So very excited for those.
And then this is where Nicky Dee has been conflicted. Blood Angels got a little bit of a buff, +1 attack and +2 strength on the turn they charge.
So that goes up from +1 strength to +2 strength.
Yeah, which
didn't make any difference?
It does, because it gets them from being an odd number many times to an even number of strength. So go from like strength 7 to strength 8, and that's a huge break point in terms of being twice someone's toughness.
Yeah, getting 1 2,
or being equal to something's toughness. So a pretty big change. The rules commentary, which for the judges and the TOs out there, is a really useful document. It addressed a lot of issues. Transports arriving from reserves still can have their units get out. That was kind of vague as the unit get out, but the unit getting out does have to stay 9 away. They clarified that the characteristic modifier rule. So if you have a rule that says you can't change my characteristics, they listed every characteristic that isn't included in that. And that does include AP and damage of your weapons. So you can't reduce those. They clarified some things about hazardous testing. And kind of one of the big ones that I saw come out that some folks got a little bit confused about: disembarking or deep striking. Although the unit counts as having made a normal move, that does not trigger things that are caused by moving. And by that I mean like things like phantasm, where you get too close to a target, or codex tactics or whatever, where if you move within a certain distance of an opponent, they can do something. So that doesn't trigger that. They still can be Overwatch, because Overwatch has a qualifier in it that if the model or the unit was set up, you can use Overwatch against them. So you can still Overwatch those things as they come in. You just can't do some of your other reactive stratagems.
Cool.
Then we get to the uniform field manual itself. We get a lot of points changes. There was very few codexes or indexes that did not see any change at all, except for my beloved Necrons, longtime Necron player here, everyone.
And Admech.
Guard
only got 1 though. Dude, Guard got 1 change.
Yeah. Now, GW did say that they feel it's a little too early in the life of both those codexes to make the decisions on those yet. But GW always just have the option of changing their mind as things go down the line. So we'll have to see if they do adjust either one of those. Biggest winners, I mean, Necrons are a winner in that nothing got changed with them. But in terms of like, did they get a push up in any rules changes? I don't think so. Demons got a big buff with a ton of demons seeing points decreases. Nicky Dee can get into that a little bit more. Custodes saw a big points decrease. Drukhari saw a lot of points decreases. We'll get more into their updates here in a minute. In terms of biggest losers, in my opinion, CSM took a lot of big points hits between their rules changes and their points changes. That's going to be a big hit. Admech, who was already struggling with their new book, not seeing any changes, that was kind of a big hit to them. They were hoping to see some points decreases. So I'm sure those players will continue to monitor the situation closely and let any feedback they have be sent to GW They have some posts where you can find them. And then World Eaters, they took some big hits in terms of rules, but they also saw points changes as well, which I kind of want to quote Anthony Vanello, who's kind of one of the architects of the list for 10th edition, said that felt just kind of disrespectful at that point because the rules changes they took were enough to already knock that army down in power pretty significantly. And then to take the points changes on top of it felt like it really wasn't necessary at that point. So we'll have to see how that bears out.
Too much for Votann, Seth, because Votann, they don't have that many models, and those Sagittars, man.
Yeah, I mean, so the average, like the list I was running with like 6 Sagittars and Hearthguard, I have to lose 90 points, which is 3 bikes. And I had a unit of 6 bikes I could cut down to 3. So it didn't change too much in those lists. Yeah. They're gonna trim just some fat in their list, and they'll still be functionally the same, I think.
And a hot take from Nicky Dee regarding demons. I mean, is this going to make them an army to watch? Like, is this the next? That's a lot of points for them.
A lot of points. Some of the greater demons got some price cuts. I've been seeing people bring up the Great Unclean One and Rodigus a whole lot, which to me is exciting. But I think actually what's even more enticing is that a lot of the lesser demons and even some of the battle line units got points drops. They've been far too expensive for all of 10th edition. So, I mean, I've got 60 bloodletters in the closet behind me, and I'm not saying that I'm ready to bring all 60 of them to the table.
Do it. Be a man.
But like it's something where it's at least a consideration now. So I think that's the part that's exciting. Demons still have a lot of tricks. So that part to me is going to be really interesting. The part that I think is tough for demons is they don't really work too well in a meta full of lots of transports. And speaking of a meta,
don't have a lot of great way to crack those.
Nope, they don't. Especially when there might be a new menace as it relates to the Drakari updated detachment. So, Seth, you want to give us the rundown on what's included here?
Index Drakari took a lot of changes to the point where we had to make it kind of its own bullet point in our notes. Because
so they still have correct me if I'm wrong, Seth, but they still have their own original index, but now they have let's call it an additional index. They have 2 options.
A whole new detachment.
Yeah.
So they changed their army rule a little bit and added. In addition to the buffs you get in melee for pain tokens, you also get a AP buff now. So you get an extra point of AP. And then they added the Sky Splinter Assault Detachment, which is basically when you disembark from a transport, your ranged weapons get ignore cover and your melee weapons get lance. So
describe what lance does, because not everyone knows.
On the charge, +1 to wound. Yeah. So that's going to be a big, because you're basically going to get +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and +1 AP if you use a pain token against something.
Really good.
Coming out of it. So you can punch real hard. Now, that being said, Eldari is a glass cannon, and it is still very glass on that spectrum. To that extent, there is a new enhancement, the Nightmare Shroud, which allows the Bears unit to not be targeted by Overwatch. So you can kind of guarantee one of those units getting in and doing that hard hitting. There's a number of strats that also kind of are in this vein. Pounce on the Prey, which is a unit can, after a vehicle moves, disembark, and then charge, which is cool because typically the Dark Eldar vehicles don't have the assault ramp rule like the Land Raider. They also have the Skyborn Annihilation stratagem, which is ranged weapons from this unit that disembark from a transport gain sustained hits 1, or if it's Kabalite, a sustained hits 2. So again, it's focusing around this moving up with the transport, getting out, and getting buffs because you got out of transport that turn.
Yeah, pretty solid. And we've got all these cool points and some new rules, but I think I guess the real hero here that not too many people talked about was the app getting updated. Seth, I mean, I'm sure you saw the new app updates, right?
I was very excited. In fact, when I saw the article and I saw the app updated, I immediately went on my phone and was like, all right, show me this, because it was very interesting. So the main thing, they added a favorite system, which is a good way to just kind of simplify some units and make them easier to get to and reference, which was great. But the command bunker was the main one that I was really interested in, because the problem you had before with the app is I can build my list in the app, and I can open my list. I can go to the units in there. I can see their individual profiles. I can see the enhancements. I can see everything, but I can't see my army rules and my stratagems on the same page. I have to back all the way back up to the main reference page and then go back in through my codex. The command bunker is literally all of those things. You hit one button and it combines all those things. You can have all of your references in one point. It's nice and easy to get to. So it's going to be a super handy tool for referencing.
Clean upgrade. It's like, I don't know if people are asking for it, but I mean, it's such a clean clean thing now.
It's going to be super useful on the tabletop, just for particularly like if I am taking Necrons to Cherokee, like having all of that right there in one place instead of having to back up and go here and back up and go there and back up and go here within the app itself. I think it's going to be just a good quality of life upgrade. So 100%. Kicker, I'm going to put you on the spot. You've got your finger on the pulse of the competitive community. I want you to guess who's going to win Cherokee.
Okay, so I do have access to who's coming because
No, I said army wise, not
I know, but that also can help determine.
No.
So I'm going to base it purely off of what faction, like not looking at like the information I have. Guys, I think Necrons are just really in a good spot. The fact that both of my friends here, both Nicky Dee and Seth, are like, oh, we got to try Necrons. I feel like there's a lot of good players playing a good army. So if I had to just call my shot for Cherokee in particular, I think Necrons have a good thing. What about you, Nicky Dee? Who you betting on? What faction right now for Cherokee?
Yeah, real quick question, Seth. How did orcs do in the data slate?
They existed.
Okay. Orcs are pretty good.
They took a few points nerfs in the more common assault units, the knobs and the Swigog boys, and the trucks saw a little bit of a points nerf. The vehicles, the buggies for the most part, all got points decreases along with battle wagons and killicans, which is cool, but their profiles are really not the best right now. A lot of it's AP1. There's a lot of ways to get cover. There's a lot of ways to get reduce AP by 1 kind of thing. So it makes it so you can take more of them. I don't know if more was the solution on buggies. So I think you'll still make a pretty viable combat list, because a lot of things like the war bosses and Badruck and the Flash Gits and Mozrog and Beast bosses, those all were unchanged. But there's certainly some of the more common assault units that you would take more of, where you'll see maybe a few less pieces of trash in the list to make up for the fact that those guys saw points increases.
Yeah, so I think orcs are good, and they've been good. I think there's definitely some, especially here in the States, there are definitely some top-notch players that play orcs pretty regularly. And one thing that orcs can do really, really well is push hard and fast and do well on the primary part. That's something where Necrons, that's not something that they really want to deal with. So orcs, I could see them becoming a natural predator for Necrons. So that's kind of my out of left field pick. I think orcs have a good play.
All right. Well, we got to let Kicker roll because the parades are coming, and he's got to get into it. But we'll finish this one out for you, bud. You have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, guys. I love you all. Seth, tell people what's going on with the community poll. Will you take that for me?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, guys.
So we, in the same vein, posted up asking, what do we think people are going to call for what's going to be the next boogeyman, the next big army? And it was pretty unanimous. 70% of respondents on our Warhammer or on our Frontline Gaming community page on Facebook said that Necrons were going to be the next big thing. 9% said Drukhari, 4% said Eldari. Those are your top 3. Darian is saying Necrons, but Eldar will still get another nerf. Paige mentioned Guard have some opportunities. I do think Guard are really strong. The Mana Core points increases were not really a big hit to them. And Ben and Kelsey both think Demons are going to be a thing. Demons gain the access to a lot of stacking abilities. So you can get some really big stacked, powerful combos there. But if you want more about all of the ins and outs of where the meta is going and the balanced data slate, I encourage you to check out our friends over at Tabletop Titans and Vanguard Tactics. Both of those groups had amazing content out yesterday with that slate, so you can go check it out. And there's going to be plenty of more content coming from both of them on that front. I know Vanguard has a lot planned, so just go check those guys out. Let them know that we gave them some love and support them with their links. Now, Nicky Dee, it's time for our community spotlight to show off some of the work that our community members have been doing before we send this one to bed. Now, I picked some very interesting ones. First up was Mark Lichlord. And now this is for Kings of War. But those to me look like they definitely could be some high elves if they wanted to.
Those big jagged swords, though,
maybe
almost say dark elves, and the armor looked high elf.
To switch over to old world, it looks like he's got some pretty sweetly painted models.
Yeah, it almost kind of reminds me of the executioners in the old war in fantasy for the dark elves. I used to face those a lot from my best friend Dan. He would have 2 blocks of those guys, so I know those types of swords really well. They had devastating blows, so on a 6 it was automatically killing automatically killing it. Great models, though. I love seeing some of these high fantasy stuff.
Yeah. Now, the next one I felt was a very important one for us to call out because of, as you'll see in this next picture, there is not actually paint, but this is some conversions on what appear to be either demons or I think those are demons, right? Those are the juggernauts, or are they world eaters?
They look like, there's definitely juggernaut pieces. Yeah. the hind legs I know because I've got 12 of those on my shelf, so I know that. I recognize that part.
Now, here's the fun part. This was a post from Dean Pritchard. Dean, who's been painting Tyranids nonstop, who's here in chat tonight, saying he's updating his army based on the feedback he got from LVO for Cherokee, is posting not Tyranids?
Or are these like custom?
He says those are AOS mounts for World Eaters. So he's working on a World Eaters army. That is now the 3rd guy that I know of that is a frequent competitor for top painted at our events that is starting a new army this year.
I do love the escalating aspect of the competitive painting competition and hobby. Yeah, I mean, especially if you come to the Frontline Gaming events or others, you see some of these amazing display boards, amazing armies.
You see them evolve over the year.
Yep, and they're never sticking with that same thing, always looking to pick up a new technique. So to me, it's one of the things where I'm not a great hobbyist myself, and it's not something that it's not my favorite part of the Warhammer hobby, but it is an item where I absolutely respect more than anything the people that are really pushing themselves and pushing the hobby aspect, because when people walk in the hall, that you can't get more excited than seeing those great armies.
Yep. Now, our last one is our friend over at the Hobby Goblins, Jesse Hicks. He had been working on this model a while ago, and he kind of posted an update. This is his, I know the name. It's the character from Harlequins with the gun. It's not the solitaire.
Morgan Ra.
No, Morgan Ra is the Eldar Phoenix Lord.
Is that not what this guy is?
No, it's like, I'm blanking on it. Okay. I knew it earlier, and then I didn't put it in the notes because I was lazy. They have Death Jester. Jester. So this is his Death Jester. I really like the purples and blues. It's giving me pretty strong Skeletor vibes.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Seth.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I thought we'd point that one out since he'd been working on that one. Dean says he thinks it is a Morgan Raw conversion. Kelsey's on Death Jester. So we'll find out who's right later on.
It might be a bit of both of us there.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts for the night, Nicky Dee. How would you rate the balanced data slate on a A through F scale?
I'm going to give it a B, maybe a B minus. There's definitely a lot of updates. I like a lot of the rules clarifications, even if I don't necessarily. I think a lot of them were good changes or parts where there was confusion. I think that was really good. When it came to the points updates and some of the other things, there's definitely some questionable choices, I think, or why things got hit the way that they did. My Space Marine list, I'm having to rewrite a good bit. So while I was excited to play Space Marines and Blood Angels, maybe not so much anymore, but then I might come back to Demons. So I'm excited. It's definitely a refresh for the meta. I think that's a positive thing overall. But there were some strange choices into the severity of how some things were impacted and how some things were not at all.
Well, some strong words from Nicky Dee. I overall am very happy with it. And I'm not just saying that as the guy that wants to play Necrons. I was really excited to see both the top end getting knocked down and the bottom end being brought up, and the armies in the middle weren't even completely ignored in most cases. You saw some internal balance changes. So I was really excited to see that. I'd give him like a solid, for Josh's kind of first at bat with this in his new position there, I'd give him an A minus. It's not perfect by any means, and I don't think perfection is ever a thing that we achieve, but it is very encouraging to see this level of change in something like this. It could have been just them knocking down the high end and leaving a lot of stuff alone, but they went out of their way to address a lot of things that were minor issues in the community. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, certainly. A minus for Eldari, right, Seth?
Yep. All right. Well, final thoughts for the night. That's that. We really hope you enjoyed this. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Signal from the Frontline. We're sorry the kicker couldn't be here tonight. The partiers took out his internet. Damn New Orleans partiers.
But Seth, people will be able to see Kicker in 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Let's not say the timeline because I have to paint a lot of napkins.
It's motivation.
Okay. All right. Well, now I'm going to go paint. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Signal from the Frontline. I have to go paint. We will see you next week. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.